Thank you for joining the First Unitarian Universalist Church of Houston for our weekly online ministers forum. I'm the Reverend D. Scott Cooper, Assistant Minister of Congregational Life, filling in for Dr. Bosson. These programs are conversations with community organizers, artists, scholars, religious leaders, and others about how we can collectively address the present crises. Their purpose is to offer members of our community and all who wish to join us online science-based resources. Today I'm talking to Angel Adams about the mental health toll the pandemic has taken on so many of us. She's a psychiatric mental health nurse practitioner and a member of the American Psychiatric Nurses Association. She currently works in collaboration with physicians to evaluate, diagnose, and treat psychiatric conditions. So welcome.
Hi, thank you.
So tell us about yourself and your practice. What are some of your specialties?
Okay, so yes, I have a mental health practice that I run out of Dallas, Texas, and I pretty much specialize in the most common type of conditions that's going on today, which are depression, anxiety, and mood disorders, and some ADHD issues as well. So that's what I do mostly.
I was about to ask you about some of the impacts from COVID. It sounds like, are some of the things you just mentioned stemming from the pandemic, or are those things that have kind of been
Yes.
going on the last couple years?
Yeah, absolutely. When I pretty much segued into having my own business, which was February 2020, if you remember, that was pretty much like a month before this whole COVID thing really got popularized within the media and everybody talking about it. So business, unfortunately, just like boomed from the beginning, like for me, totally. I have so many COVID patients that are affected personally or family members. I mean, ranging from not wanting to get out of the house, they're paranoid, they're going to get it, to them having it and being depressed. So definitely COVID has made an impact on the mental health realm, totally.
So I know besides even the depression and people being anxious, just it's common for people to complain of just kind of having a brain fog just from all
Oh,
the.
yes.
So tell us about that too. I think that's pretty common.
It is very common. There are many symptoms that come from COVID that, you can't even put like a finger on it, because what one person might have, another may not, and vice versa. But I have heard many complaints of brain fog from having COVID, to where you just can't really remember things the way that you used to. You're not as sharp as you used to. You can't think as quickly. So these are actually common symptoms that I'm having from my patients on the regular, including the coughs, the muscle aches. What else are they having physically? Chest pains, things like that. I'm getting a lot of complaints of.
Well, I was about to ask, have there been more of certain diagnoses because of the pandemic? It sounds like they're kind of falling into certain categories.
Yeah. Well, when you say diagnoses, are you talking about physical, or are you talking about just mental, or all together?
Altogether.
Oh, yeah. So a lot of people, as you may know, already have conditions, as they say, the weakened immune system or something like that that's going on that makes you more prone to have COVID. So the type of autoimmune diseases like lupus, or even like alopecia type diseases, hypertension, that is an autoimmune, diabetes, things like that, I'm seeing a lot of patients have when they do have COVID. And it's just like depression and anxiety runs right along with it.
Well, you said you opened your practice right before, in February, right before all this kind of hit. So it made me wonder if people have challenges even getting an appointment to see somebody, with so many people having problems with this.
Yes. I have just, as far as like new patient, it could be anywhere from a 2 week to 3 week wait to get in. I mean, because for the new appointments, of course, I need more time to gain history. So I'm going to need an hour to spend with that patient. And so to get that amount of time when I'm already having follow-up visits in between, to get that 1 hour, it's quite difficult. I wish I could get it in a day for my patients, but unfortunately, I can't. And that goes for a lot of providers around the country, really.
Right. It's not unique to just people who are really good like you. I think around the country and with a lot of people, they're just having trouble getting in to see anyone. So yeah, it's unfortunate. Yeah, it's unfortunate. Yeah. So
Yeah.
shifting gears a little bit, I know I hear so much about the pressures on families right now. They're either working at home or they got laid off or their entire family's at home and they're on top of one another and driving each other crazy, or someone's isolated at home and never gets to see anybody. So
Right.
talk about how all this has affected people and specifically how it's affected parenting.
Yeah, so I can speak to that from experience. So I'm actually a single parent with two kids, and I have a 5-year-old and a 7-year-old. So when they had to come home, I came home too. I left the office. This is actually my home office that I am at now. And it was very difficult to have to be a teacher and figure out things for them and run my business as well. So I can understand for parents that have more than two kids at a lot of different age levels and they're trying to work from home. So it becomes very difficult. And I mean, there are a lot of parents that have come to me strictly for that reason. They cannot handle that lifestyle anymore, and also being a spouse. So, you're a parent, and then you have to work and you have to be a spouse. So that might come with cooking and then some cleaning and laundry and all those other things. And it just becomes very overwhelming. And to where I've seen patients, they just can't handle it anymore. So, but luckily for me, I do have a great support system along with their father still as well. But a lot of families don't have that. And even in the the households with two parents, it can still be difficult because you really don't know the responsibilities of who and what they're used to and things like that. So I have seen that a lot. And I have also seen the isolation piece where you have people that are truly like paranoid to go outside into the world and catch this virus, or they already have caught it. And so they're like, absolutely not. I am not going anywhere. And then they're sitting at home gaining weight. They're not moving around as much as they used to. So their physical appearance is affecting how they feel about themselves, self-esteem wise. Not eating well. Then here comes the physical attributes. You're more prone to diabetes. And from there, it's just downhill. So isolation is one of the top indicators of depression. So, it's just one big circle that continues to happen and that keeps patients coming to me time after time.
Well, you used the word overwhelmed. I've heard so many people use that very same word, and I know that it's impossible to generalize, but would it be possible for you to just give some hints as to what people who are feeling overwhelmed might do to help themselves during these times?
Yes, absolutely. So you can have like scheduled breaks or scheduled me time, as they call it, to where no matter what is going on, as long as it's not a dire emergency, you take that time for yourself. Now, what you do within that time, it could be meditation, it could be exercise, it could be drinking tea, it could be, listening to soundscapes. Like soundscapes is like water sounds, ocean sounds, things to relax you, things like that. That could make you not feel as overwhelmed. Just basically things that you enjoy for yourself to relax and ask for help, whether that is from your children or your significant other. It's okay to get that help, and maybe make a routine for everyone so everyone works together, so that some of that baggage and all of that, the overwhelming feelings can be taken off of the individual some, so that they can function more properly throughout the days and weeks.
It sounds like keeping communication open and letting everyone know how you're feeling and what's going
Mm-hmm.
on.
Yes. And I do need to add that diet is important as well. So if you're putting a lot of foods that aren't good for you into your body, such as the starches, the chips and stuff that's not really like natural and from the earth, like repeatedly. Of course, you can have those times here and there, right? Everything in moderation, of course. But that's that's going to make things way worse. It's going to make you feel horrible, like not good physically, because you're not providing the right energy to your body to be able to, think clearly and just be able to handle the stressors throughout the day. And then not only that, I've already talked about, at least even myself, I gained weight, but I had to rear it back in. So the mental component of feeling like you're not looking your best is also a way to bring you down. So it is important to think about what you're putting into your body.
Yeah, it's true. It kind of snowballs. You don't eat right, and then you don't feel right, and so you eat
Uh huh.
more, and then yeah.
Right.
So, yeah, thank you for those hints. Um,
Yeah.
Now, I know for the people helping people like you, there's challenges. So what are some of the challenges because of the pandemic on providers like you? And also, have there been benefits from working at home or however you're doing it during this with the virtual appointments?
I can definitely say, there are times where I do miss the in person, but overall, this way of virtual meetings, I would say, is definitely a plus. I myself, I don't feel as rushed and, getting up in the morning, getting somewhere. I actually made a little she shed in my backyard. So I'm very comfortable. I get up, I go get water. It's just a more comfortable and a more relaxed with my patients. And I see pretty much 9 times out of 10, I'm asking my patients, they feel more better with doing the virtual visits too, because they feel like they can take it at any time. They're not cutting a whole bunch of things out of their day, taking into account getting there and then leaving, when they can just click on the screen. We handle business to where we're trying to get them to a stable place, and that's it. So that in itself, to me, or for me, has been more of a blessing. Challenges are basically like literally as a nurse being able to really lay my eyes on a patient, seeing how they walk, that can tell a lot of things. Really being able to look into their eyes and, because it does paint a whole picture. Vitals are important. Luckily now I've teamed up with a company to where they send out the blood pressure cuffs for free to my patients, and I can at least get that in a weight, you know.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah. So just at least trying to work with the changing times, basically. So that's kind of that's been a challenge. That part, I would say. But otherwise, I think it's more of positives than negatives with the virtual visits.
I hadn't thought of that someone like you who has been trained to observe someone and pick up on a lot of subtle things that can tell you a lot,
Right.
you won't be able to do on screen.
Mm-hmm. That's very true. Yeah, that's very true. So that is the downside. So luckily we still have, I'm more the mental health piece, but we do have and they now have the online things for physicians too, but a lot of, the family doctors and things like that are still open for in person. So that's why it's a good team effort, because they're still able to see the patients face to face.
Well, back to some of your patients' workplace. I know that just because there's light at the end of the tunnel, so to speak, doesn't mean that the pressures are necessarily being alleviated, because the employers are asking people to either keep working at home or stop working at home, and either one of those can be stressful for different situations. And some of the employers are asking employees to be vaccinated, which some of them may have all sorts of issues with, or so I know that that we're not coming out of the stressful times immediately by any means. So
Right.
what can you say about that?
Well, as far as the mandatory vaccinations, when I worked in a hospital, I know that there's plenty of people who did not want to get the flu shot. So what they had to do at the time is walk around with masks on. And during that time, around, I'd say like 2016, when I was in the hospital, it did look a little strange, to see these people walking around in masks, and you knew they worked there. But, it was their choice, and I understood that. So I feel that mandatory vaccinations really isn't the way to go. Because at the end of the day, I mean, it's similar to flu in some sense. Now, obviously, it does seem to be a lot more of a vicious type of virus. I understand that. But it's a thing where, vaccinated or not, you can still get it, So if those that have the choice of not being vaccinated, just, I would say, continue wearing the mask. And either way, whether you're vaccinated or not, I think masks are safe. It has shown proven numbers to decrease your risk of getting the virus. So that's something that's about to grow another head in itself, because they're saying that in order to travel now, it might become mandatory. Or I don't know how true this is, there are certain sections that's going to be at the basketball arenas. Vaccinated, sit over here. Non-vaccinated, sit over here. Like, no, I don't think that's very wise to separate. We're already a very divided country, as we know, racially, in many other ways, with socioeconomics and things like that. So to start adding in this to further divide us, it doesn't make sense to me.
Do you have patients who are having trouble with either being urged to come back to work, or being urged to not come back to work?
I'm having more so trouble with the ones that are being urged to come back into the office. So they're still having issues with that. And I think that one thing that COVID has shown everyone is that, okay, the world can pretty much operate without, going into the offices. Now, if that's more productive or not, I really don't know. I haven't looked at any numbers like that, but I mean, I see, businesses still going and making it that we're in an office setting daily. So, I have seen issues with that, especially from the ones that have already been exposed. So, it's kind of like, how do you gauge how long a person is going to feel uncomfortable with going back out,
Well, I know a lot of people are enjoying not having to commute and having that time added to their day.
Yeah, I know I'm enjoying it.
So we're coming up on time, but I definitely want to ask. I know you've got some really exciting YouTube videos and different things coming out that people can watch once this has whetted their appetite for the good information that you put out there. Please tell us about some of these videos that you've got coming out.
Yeah, so what I have finally come to, I've been wanting to do this seriously for 20 years, because before I had even gone into mental health nursing, I had a degree in journalism, and so I've always been a writer, and I love to tell stories and ask questions. So anyway, so finally I'm coming out with a show that should be coming out this summer. It's called Bonafide Talks with Angela Amber. So it is going to basically, find people, talk about their struggles, like whether it was depression or just mental health problems, not necessarily a condition that you have to be diagnosed with, or problems or things like that, and how they addressed it and navigated through it. And I just want, to just put little stories out there just to give people hope and like see, hey, this person might have the same problem as I do, and this is how it worked, or and then coming from a clinician's point of view, like hopefully I can give this side and way to treat it. So yeah, so I have Bonafide Talks with Angela Amber. It'll be on YouTube. My Facebook is the same, Bonafide Talks with Angela Amber, and I'll also have it on Instagram, which is Angel_Bonafide.
Excellent, excellent. Yeah, I know there's so many people now are talking about getting away from the stigma of not talking about mental health issues. And like you just said, putting it out there, oh, look, this person has the same thing I do. Maybe I'm not the only one in the world.
And that's what I want to do. I just want to make, people more comfortable, the cultures that, have had taboo type things against mental health, just to kind of, show different cultures and things like that to open it up more.
Yeah, definitely, because people who are able to face it head on and actually work with a talented individual like you are really able to make huge strides and better their life.
Yes, well, thank you. I try, I just follow my heart and my education.
Well, good for you. Well, you're doing great work. I so appreciate you being here on the Ministers Forum with us today.
Yes, happy to be here.
All right, great. Thank you again. So, for those of you who are with us on the Ministers Forum for the first time, let me say a few words about Unitarian Universalism. We're a religious tradition that celebrates the possibility of goodness within each human heart, the transformative power of love, and the clarifying force of reason. We believe that we need not think alike to love alike. We hope that you find these forums a source of connection, hope, and clarity. If you found this video to be helpful, please consider joining us for our weekly worship service. It's posted online each Sunday at 10:30 a.m. and features music and prayers in addition to a sermon. Thank you to our staff for making this video possible. It was produced by Christian Holmes. Alma Vascara assisted with the editing. We will see you all online soon and in person as soon as it's possible for us to gather again. And please remember that no matter how isolated you feel, we are all in this together.